Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Hits and Misses. The Monday Night Football game is still going on, but we're here for you to unload all your passions, anything that's going on in the NFL this past weekend or what's going on in the Monday Night Football game. We know the playoffs are hot and heavy. This is a venue for you to come hear us rant basically about what happened in the past week, some of the hits and some of the misses put in the past week, as well as obviously what's going on Monday night. Typically, this happens at 7:30 on Sunday nights, but because it's just some scheduling stuff, everyone's busy with Christmas. We decided to move it to Monday Night Football at the end of it so that we can really fully unload the full Week 15, except for just part of it before the Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football games. All right, all that ranting. My name is Tumi. This is my friend Eric.
Yo, what's going on? It's my boy chilling with y'all. My man Tumi. I'm Eric. Got my nice name changed up now, Eric P Football on TikTok.
Yep.
So I can go ahead and let y'all know exactly what I'm interested in. Got my full name in there now. So let's just talk about it.
Yeah, man. Fantasy football strategist on TikTok. You can find us there. I'm putting out a lot of content about football, but really, I mean, this is Eric. This is playoff week, the beginning of playoff week. We are all not as blessed as you to be on bye, like in so many leagues. Eric barely had to set any lineups this week, but he was on bye, and in the big league in particular, which
Oh
is the
yeah.
one that started a long time ago. I was not on bye. I was not in the playoffs in that league, but Eric definitely was.
Yeah, I'm thankful for it. I mean, this is a week where we had so many surprise injuries and a lot of big names not really performing that if you had the bye week this week, you're really saving graces right now. Because I mean, this was a lot of misses that you didn't anticipate coming our way. So we'll talk about it.
Man. Yeah, so like you said, so there's a couple segments in the show. So obviously we're just gonna be talking about what happened this week. Obviously, we're gonna be touching on Bijan. We're gonna be touching on Derrick Henry. We're gonna be touching on like the crazy Chargers Raiders game. We're gonna be touching on a lot of stuff, but the way that we're gonna start to try to break down the show is on a couple of different segments. The first one really being with like some of the biggest news. There was a lot of hard hitting stuff that happened, but Eric, I'm gonna ask you. So first segment, what is the hardest hitting news or the most impactful news that may have impacted your week in fantasy or maybe impacting your championship run moving forward?
The most impactful news is just like injuries, but what I would call hurts. The Michael Pittman, one of the most consistent wide receivers all year, him taking that hurt in the game, not more necessarily like an injury that should keep him out for a long term, but that really sets you back. That's somebody that you could look at with consistency. Another set it and forget it player that all of a sudden randomly during this week that was unable to produce because he got that crazy hit on him during the game. That was incredibly jarring, and that pretty much set the tone for somebody else who was on my team, Trey McBride. He randomly got hurt in the middle of the game and had to go out. So things of that nature, as we'll touch on earlier, that kind of really took place very frequently this week. And this is one of the weeks where I was really glad I was actually on a bye week because while watching it, I'm just like, my God, this thing's got me a little nervous. You're just hoping that you got to keep your health going into the next week so far. So it's a lot of like issues like that took place this week for sure.
There was a lot of shakeups, man. Like a lot of
Hmm.
got shook up. I mean, so that one, so I think he's in the concussion protocol. Um,
Yeah,
hopefully he'll make it through. He got up, he walked off, kind of seemed like pissed off a little bit that what happened, but like
that
that
hit.
hit, like so we were talking in the pre-show, like just me and Eric chatting up. Some of the first content I started to make about football was about the draft, and I was like doing a ton of different write-ups on different players coming out of college, and like years back, I did a write-up on Demonte Casey. Really good player, really fast, just really slight and slender. But honestly, he did like he shadowed well. Like he was a good corner. He ended up moving to safety. But man, these like
Hmm.
super dirty hits, bro. It's when this. I know you slow mo something, it makes it look a million times worse. But it's just one of those players where it just seems to follow him. Like not surprised at all to say that he was immediately disqualified and then immediately like done for the season. Like he's suspended for the rest of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a little bit of struggle latching on. You don't wish that on the guy, but like it just seems like that type of player would have made so much more sense 10 years ago when the NFL was not the NFL it is today. But to take out a player like Michael Pittman like that in such a way, who was on a monster tear, you know what I mean? Eric? Like he was on
Oh,
a
I know. I
crazy.
know.
He honestly, he got knocked out before halftime and still didn't kill your team.
True.
You know what
Respect.
I mean,
Respect.
yeah,
It's true what you said about 10 years ago with that kind of hitting mentality. It's like we're not the youngest people in the world, but just thinking back, they used to have on I think on the show a segment that was like just knock out the box, where they would go back and show during that week players that just got literally knocked out. They would never show a segment like that today. The way that we used to practice back in high school, like these drills called Oklahoma drills. I don't even think you can do that anymore. That used to like gain you your muster when you walk the hallways of school. It's like people respected you because you really had to go ahead and show your stuff in that practice. Like they don't even do that anymore. That is very old mentality that you miss it, but you see where it's gone. I get it.
So one thing, so people don't know about it. So me and Eric, we basically grew up together. We both played football together. We did not play like at a super high level, but we played in like high school. And I a lot of times I was a guard. He was like a defensive tackle, and he was much smaller than, so that's why it was always funny to me. Like they just threw him at defensive tackle, not even defensive end. They threw him at defensive tackle. We would go head to head a lot. I don't think we ever had to do the Oklahoma drill against each other though, right?
No, I don't recall. I had to do it in rec league. I had to do it in another high school where I eventually left, the one that we're referring to right now, before.
Mhm.
And it's just I know why they got rid of it, and I see like how people used to get hype about it. Like you used to want to skip the line of the guy in front of you because you didn't want to get lined up with somebody else who you knew
You would
just
line
didn't care. Yeah, didn't care about their safety. Like, oh, he don't care about his safety. Let me go ahead and get behind you real quick. I remember doing stuff like that. They don't do that anymore. Like I understand why they have that mentality. Football, man, I respect football, but boy, if you got to be different.
You really have to be different. I definitely remember clearly getting a concussion and not
Mhm.
knowing what it was. Like, I guess we're fine. And like my friends getting a concussion, like, yeah, I couldn't be in the light for a whole 24 hours. Like, that's like terrible. Like, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
you
But
want to avoid that.
all right. So Michael Pittman, hopefully we're gonna get him back in a week. I'm not sure about that. Sneaky team making a playoff push too. I mean, they're not even sneaky. They're clearly in the playoffs. This is not related to fantasy, guys, so I'm just gonna talk about this quickly. I'm a Colts fan, but man, like secret coach of the year candidate you have to consider Shane Steichen.
I would
Like
say so. Yeah.
I mean, what is he like? Look what he's working with. You know what I mean? They're like 2 wins over 500. Clearly, like they're solidly in the playoffs right now. They'll probably get blown out the box, like we were just talking about in the first round. But man, like to put up that type of offensive effort on a week-to-week basis with like Gardner Minshew and Zach Moss is crazy.
The way Zach Moss ran that ball, and they're not even using Jonathan Taylor. It's like when people see that, just imagine if it's Jonathan Taylor. People
Yeah.
who are still alive in the playoffs and you are holding on to Jonathan Taylor, you must be salivating if he can go ahead and replace and perform like that. That's incredible.
100%. Yeah, because we don't know what's going to happen with Zach Moss. It does look like he'll be able to play. But honestly, like we were saying, like Trey Sermon was very serviceable. The guy Goodson or Goodwin came in and scored. Like, I mean, they're a good offense. So that's one piece of news. The other news I'm going to talk about really quick. I guess it's the Jamar Chase thing, because I do think that's impactful. I don't expect him to play, but I do think that is going to launch T. Higgins into another stratosphere. T. Higgins was kind of unstartable for the last few weeks, but it wasn't because he was playing badly. He was just almost having like bad luck, you would say, like
Yeah.
getting a push off. Like he caught a touchdown, but he pushed off, so they took it off the board. Multiple times he got thrown the ball, like deep passes, like penalties, or like just missed, like close misses with Jake Browning. Now potentially not having the target dominant leader of Jamar Chase in the lineup. And with Jake Browning playing so well against a Minnesota Vikings defense who was playing at a lights out level,
Hmm.
I do think that there is something like T. Higgins could easily be a league winner.
You saw that stretch touchdown. Man got good awareness. He can be a clutch player and really, really help you. I really back that wholeheartedly. Similar player who got a lot of I would say a spike up in productivity due to the big man not playing as a result of Tyreek Hill not being out there. Jay Waddle stepped up
Mhm.
magnificently. This is probably his second big game of the season.
Yeah,
He like wow. I did not start him just because you saw Jets. You anticipate Sauce Gardner and everybody shutting him down. That did not happen. He
yeah.
really, really took it to him. So similar to T. Higgins with Jamar Chase not being there, Jay Waddle, the second Tyreek Hill didn't play, you didn't even notice it.
Like it was good to see, because we had talked about it a couple weeks ago. He was not like Tyreek played every game, but there's just been situations where he could have done way more.
Oh yes.
He just was not taking advantage, and it was really frustrating because it's like he's still a good player. He's still amazing. He still has the elite speed. He still has the elite route running ability.
Hmm.
Really sneaky hands. Like he's just dropping passes, things like that. But it was really good to see him. I mean, he put up 29 PPR points on a incredibly tough defense, which he did cook them a couple weeks ago, but not like this. And especially, it's just nice to see like this felt the most like vintage Jalen Waddle, because even if he had a big game or a decent game before, nothing felt like, oh yeah, this is Jalen Waddle from last year. Like this was the first time you're like, yeah, he just cooked. He cooked Reed, who's an amazing corner. He just cooked that dude like straw. I almost cussed. He cooked that on that route. He cooked him solid on that route.
And just like I said earlier, he scared you in the beginning of the game because he had an early hurt. I think the first catch he had, I think he hurt his stomach or something. I was like, what the hell is going on? Well, I just experienced the Pittman tragedy, and I was like, I saw that. So I wasn't having the best Sunday, if you know what I mean. But when he got back up, I mean, Saturday, Sunday, whatever day it was, he put in work. So Waddle was another good wide receiver. My team did very well. There's another guy we're going to talk about who wears a little bit of red that played very well as well. So we might get to that.
But before we talk about some more, like, because there was some great performances, we all get it. This show's called Hits and Misses.
Yeah.
We got it, like, and I mean, it's hits first and misses, but whatever. We have to talk about these misses. These misses are so important this week because these misses kick people out of the playoffs.
Talk about it.
There's so many names.
It is too many names.
This was an uncomfortably long list to make. Like, this is crazy. We're gonna talk about all these guys, but we're gonna just talk about some of the biggest ones first. So Eric, why don't you go ahead, pick one? Like
the biggest one, Bijan Robinson. After saying that I played against this man and I got Bijan Robinson, everybody was anticipating this man putting up points. Like I just saw a 20-point from this man a given.
Easy.
To look at the prediction, 0.4.
I can't.
Oh my goodness. Like, even if you aren't even close to fantasy football, the level of anger online that I'm sensing from Bijan Robinson managers is something I haven't seen in a while. They might require this man to be let go. Talk about it, man.
What do you – he's not going to get let go. What do you mean let go from the –
Yes. Yes.
Because, so I do think there's a lot of things that happen in that game, which in the long run, especially for Dynasty, I do think are good. There is the Falcons are, I think, essentially out of the playoff race. It does seem like it's between the Saints and the Bucks, and their schedules are a little easier to moving forward. They're going to be okay. I don't think that. I think they. Do the Falcons play the Colts this week? I think they do.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, let me know. Yeah, they play the Colts. They play the Colts this week. They could easily lose that game. They're playing at home, so I guess. But that's like we were just saying. Shane Steichen, he puts up points wherever. He don't even care unless it's like cold, bad weather. But it's not going to be that way in the dome. I think there's a good chance that they lose this week. I mean, they play Chicago next, who they could beat Chicago, but their defense has been playing like crazy lights out. And I don't think they're going to beat New Orleans probably at New Orleans. So they may go the rest of the season 0-3. I think that is a good prescription for Arthur Smith to be fired. And if he gets fired, that's the best thing you could wish for, because whoever is coming in, their owner, and I don't even know the GM is going to make it, but their GM and all of them are going to be like, you have 3 elite level weapons. Whoever is coming in must maximize those 3. They have to. So I just don't think there's a way that Bijan is not going to be better than he was this year. And it's so stupid and so disappointing because for many reasons. One, he had 59% of snaps. He led the backfield in snaps. He had 12 of 13 on third down, 2 of 2 inside the 10. He was on the field and he didn't do anything. Now, I'll definitely give some blame. This is the thing. I'll give some blame to Bijan because I a lot of times I'm straight to Arthur Smith. Bijan played like ass. He played like terrible. But, like, you just got to figure out a way to be more creative and get him the ball, especially when his first game of his career was against the same Carolina Panthers team, and he went for 10 for 56, 6 for 6 in the air, 27 yards and a touchdown in the air. Like, that was his first game ever. He cooked this defense already. This is considered one of the worst run defenses in the league. And I'm sure they got up a little bit. They were without Chris Lidstrom on the line, which is a big deal. But still, like, you should be better than the previously one-win team and be able to move the ball with an elite level running back talent. And it's just the epitome of disappointing, like you said.
Yeah, like the anger. Like I was just online and just the people just, whew. They were saying he got to go. Arthur Smith can't happen anymore.
It really can't. It really can't. I'm trying to pick who to talk about next. I mean, really quick on his teammate Drake London, putting up 4.4 PPR points, and honestly, I was surprised he got that based on how the game was going. I thought he was going to do much worse. I I'm honestly, this is one of those situations I have no sympathy at all for anyone who started Drake London. And I have no sympathy for you because you should be following fantasy football strategists on TikTok. The most clear, as clear as day, I'm going to just pull it up. Drake London sucks so bad on the road. He is terrible. He's really good at home. So yesterday he was 71st receiver on the road. Against the Jets, 83rd receiver on the road. Against Arizona, 52nd ranked receiver in PPR. Against the Tennessee Titans, 43rd ranked receiver. Against Tampa Bay, he was really good. He was a 31st ranked receiver. He's not good on the road. Like, he is awful on the road. You can't start him. And so I kept telling everyone, like, Carolina, amazing defense against the wide receiver. You can't start him. And I was just surprised so many people were so mad about that one. Like, that one was very easily predictable. But the person I'm going to really talk about, let's see. I don't know how much else we could say about Austin, man.
Yeah. He hurt a lot of people as well because, I mean,
it really did.
It's such a poor performance. Like you say, he didn't even – when you don't even put up double digits and you're someone that you invested that kind of depth in the draft on at this point, and you don't have your quarterback, you're thinking they're going to lean on you, this is a massive letdown. That's why I'm saying it's such a miss that doesn't meet your expectation. It's a huge letdown during a time frame that you just cannot afford this. That's a big one, a big one.
That's a big one, man. And it's like you said, draft capital for sure.
Yes.
Just expectations about Austin Eckler, like so many touchdowns, so many receptions. That's just kind of baked in the cake. Another one of the reasons why I was really concerned about him going into the year, because I was like, those two things for running back, it's hard for me to rely so much on those because unlike a Christian McCaffrey, if Christian McCaffrey didn't have as many receptions, didn't have as many touchdowns, he would still be like a top 10 running back just based on yardage and rushing production. But for there to be 84 points scored in that game, and you had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, your team scored 21, and you had nothing to do with it. Like, that's what really twists the knife. Because, like, if you just lost and Austin Eckler had a bad day, low-scoring game, sure, whatever. But especially, like, high-scoring game, and especially in a comeback effort, and you have – I want to pull it up so I make sure I understand it, because I know he had his lowest snaps that he's had in 2 years with only 40% of the snap share, given up to a lot to Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah.
But, like, to get, like, 6 targets for 29 yards, honestly, you're kind of even lucky to get that the way that game was looking. Like, you really – I was banking in the cake like 10 targets easy because you have an option. You don't have Keenan Allen.
Exactly.
What are we doing?
So that one is major. It's like with these kinds of matchups, you look at your lineup and you spot yourself points because it's just no way. Those are like those games that you don't see somebody losing. Like we were talking about Green Bay going against the Chiefs. How in the world are they going to win that game? And you have to see a performance you just cannot anticipate. That is something that you just don't see in 100 different dimensions. Dr. Strange did not figure out that Austin Eckler would come out with a performance like that. Come on, man. No one saw that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, so now we know. We've known for a couple of weeks. He had a spike week against Denver, but now we know what's really up. Like, good luck if you happen to make it to the next round. And I don't know anyone who has Austin Eckler who has. You know what to do with him now. If you're in a 3 running back league or you have to start 3 running backs, you can consider him if you want to. I think they play Denver again this week. But like, do not feel pressed. No, they play Buffalo. No.
Ooh.
Not doing that. Not at all. Not the way that team is looking. No, I'm not interested. Okay. All right, so we gone through some more misses. Let's do a couple more. I mean, we'll talk about the hits, but let's talk more about these misses. Let's just get with the negative. Who else?
I'm gonna have to go to the Cowboys, man. I'm gonna go ahead with their running back in this instance, Tony Pollard. I know they had a very tough matchup and the game got away from them, but this is just another game he has not produced. It's just that with the incredibly high expectations with him, as the season starts to go and get away from you, you would think with players who may have some incentives in their contract, they're going to start trying to really overproduce, and you're hoping that that will start to spike. Games where you anticipate they wouldn't even do that well, like Buffalo has a pretty good defense, but I don't even think they were at their best as far as player health and everything going into this one. That hopefully Pollard can somehow take advantage of it, because I think CD Lamb, how many weeks in a row has he been like playing out of his mind? These are the kind of conditions where you think a team is going to overcorrect to stop that, and their other stars probably going to come about and really perform in a way that they haven't for a number of weeks if they haven't been the primary focus. And I thought that Tony Pollard was really going to have some kind of resounding performance, but they just got absolutely wiped off of my top five in this
Yeah.
past game. So that's just how it happened for him in the running back position. Dak is another one who was he was literally in MVP conversation, and I think that for most people that may have taken a major uppercut of the Tyson format.
Of the Tyson format.
For real.
The Tyson variety. Like, yeah, like that's he definitely got dinged for that on all the talk shows. You heard everyone saying like, yeah, he's not in the MVP race anymore, especially with Brock Purdy performing how he did.
Yeah.
Very different competition, but I get it. The Dak one again, like to me, I thought that Buffalo was going to win the game, and like I said a couple weeks ago, like before they beat the Chiefs and before they beat Dallas, I was like, this is a team that's primed to like make a run. And I kept saying, like, you need to eliminate them from the playoffs. You do not want the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs because they are the type of team who could beat literally anyone in the NFL on a given day. Get them out of the playoffs. Beat them right now. They play the Chargers this week with Easton Stick. Like that's you could just give me 3 wins right away. Tony Pollard, I'll start with him. Like, yeah, that's just really annoying. I was really high on Tony Pollard. I've just been wrong on that one. I thought he was going to have a lights out year. And he just, I mean, it just is what it is. He's not looking the same. His average wasn't that bad. He went for 4.7 yards per carry. The receiving work is the thing, like only getting 3 targets for 5 yards, like 2 of 3 for 5 yards. Like that's what Buffalo, they have actually given up a decent amount of receiving work to running back. So I thought he was going to give me at the very least like 5 for 7 for like 40. That would have really hooked you up today. But yeah, he's been disappointing. And then Dak, we were due for it. Like I kind of said it on another show. We're just due for a Dak like down game, and we got it. I do think Dak, honestly, I'm not even really worried about him for real. For real, they play Miami next week. I think they're gonna chuck it in that game. I think that's gonna be like a really fun game. That damn near may be a Super Bowl preview. So like, I think that they're gonna throw it. They're gonna be okay. I'm not worried about Dak as much. But Tony Pollard facing Miami. Miami's run defense is elite. Like his schedule actually. Miami, Detroit, the next 2, and then Washington, which is week 18, which doesn't matter for fantasy.
Yeah.
Like the next 2 weeks are literally 2 of the top 3 to 4 run defenses in the NFL. So it's a tough one for Tony Pollard moving forward. All right. Let's see. Let's do one more miss. We'll get out of the negative. Oh, let's see. Who can we talk about? Do I want to just go easy? I'll touch on this guy real quick. Like, so Brees and Garrett Wilson, I think they're just directly linked to Zach Wilson being there. If Zach Wilson's not there, they're going to be very unreliable fantasy assets. But I got to talk about Travis, bro.
Oh, yeah, do it.
Like, I mean, Taylor was there. She was there.
Go there.
Ain't on that anymore. But, like, he just looks old. He looks old. And I just think that I'm gonna talk out of both sides of my mouth. He looks old. He's not the Travis Kelce that we used to see, and that is concerning because I do think that he is closer to being like he's top 5 tight end versus like clear 1, no question. Like, don't even think about it. Now, this matchup couldn't have been a worse matchup for him. It honestly was a really tough matchup for every position, and I mean the running backs definitely overperformed based on New England being like the number 1 defense against the run over the last few weeks. But this is a really tough matchup. He's not fully healthy. I just think it's just going to be a down, disappointing year for Travis Kelce. But in no way are you like benching him. I think it's just one of those situations where you just kind of got to ride with it. He's just more now in the like I'm going to rather start Trey McBride over Travis Kelce. But honestly, I'd likely just put Kelce in my flex if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, because you still expect the volume. I mean, it's still Travis Kelce, but he's just like you said. The best explanation, like it just looks old. You know what I'm saying? So
He's 34. I mean,
Mm.
34. He got really banged up at the beginning of the season, and we kind of never really. I don't think we adjusted our expectations after he missed a game. Like he just wasn't the same guy. And I just don't think we ever adjusted our expectations for that. But let's kind of move into some of the hits. Like let's get out of this negative doldrums. Let's move into some of the hits. And I'll start it off because I'm gonna really just be tied to who I think may be just the target leader now on that team. Rashid Rice, man. He's the guy. Rashid Rice is the guy. So I mean, Rashid Rice 9 for 9, which is great. For 91 yards, a touchdown. Like he is. Oh, he fumbled the ball. Sorry, but yeah, he 24 points in PPR, number 7 receiver on the week. Like this guy is, like he is phenomenal, and he is used in such a safe way that I don't think people understand because he's throwing the ball and giving the ball so quick to like close to the line of scrimmage so often that him in PPR he's like really safe. Like we're looking at 3 of the last 4 weeks he's been a top 12 receiver. All 4 weeks he's been top 22. Like we're now just in Rashid Rice territory. He is their best weapon on offense, I think, and I think they're going to only continue to get him the ball. He has not had less than 10 targets or less than 9 targets for 4 weeks straight. Like he is a reliable must-start receiver, probably closer to the top 12 than we want to realize.
Couldn't agree more. Also, given team current circumstances, we just talked about Travis Kelce, so the team has eyes. They might be seeing the same things that we're seeing, but I believe the other player who had been struggling was placed on injury reserve recently. So Sky Moore, I think, was placed on injury reserve or somebody like that. So you don't have him to worry about. Kadarius Toney, now 2 weeks in a row, made a major folly that has visibly pissed off Patrick Mahomes. So he's losing trust. And therefore, the only option really is for him to start peppering Rashid Rice with the ball more. So you are like salivating right now if you happen to have him on your team because he's somebody that you can expect, as we would assume, to get a whole lot of targets and everything to work in his favor going forward. I would say he has a very strong tailwind in his favor given the market conditions for his team.
100%. Because like this, like you said, there's no other. Who else? Who else is going to catch the ball now? You got an
Precisely.
old banged up Travis Kelce. You got Sky Moore injured reserve. McCole Hardman's already been out. Toney can't do anything positive in the game. Like it's just like that's all he got. Like so, I think maybe 9 targets may even be low now. I feel like he's probably going to be in the 10 to 12 territory moving forward.
Yeah, man, for sure. For sure.
So who you going to pick for one of your hits, man? Let's get positive.
I got to go ahead and stick with Trey McBride, man. I've always been talking up Trey McBride. And when he first started coming on, I was saying, this dude could be something different. Trey McBride, tell yourself right now you want him as your tight end next year. You already know you want somebody who's getting all those targets. This man has been getting it done. And another player who had a scary hurt during the game and you didn't think was going to come back. Same thing, I think we didn't mention it earlier, was one of the guys who had a hurt and came back. Was Kelce. Kelce had a hurt. Yeah, so that happened a lot pretty frequently this season. So as the season starts to get later in, these guys are starting to show a little bit of the fact that they're human. So be a little bit more cognizant of that. That was I've seen that pick up a little bit more recently.
I have too. And like Trey McBride, like, I think, yeah, like just even thinking about next year, like 2024 redraft league, you could easily convince me tight end 1. The thing is with him, the only concern I have with him, because he's amazing in every respect. Like has like an amazing like yards per route run. What was the other stat? It was like a high. So he has the highest targets per route run of any tight end now. And the way that the Arizona Cardinals are like designing their offense, they are doing a lot of short passing. The only concern I have is like I don't know who's going to be quarterback. But if it's going to be like Caleb Williams, that's great. I just don't think they're going to be in Caleb Williams territory. And I have no clue what that's going to do. Like, it's uncertainty. But the only thing is the OC is going to be the same. And the OC is the OC that came from Cleveland Browns, who they emphasize the tight ends a ton. So I do think he honestly is like a little safe in redraft leagues. In Dynasty, I think you could easily argue that he should be the number 1 tight end, him or Sam Laporta, who we're going to talk about. But like, we got some nice young tight ends who could really do some damage, bro. Trey McBride, he is clearly a must start. He's going to be a top 3 tight end for me moving forward, no matter what, every week. Like he's arrived, and he is like the way that they're involving him in the offense is completely killing any value for anybody else in that offense from a receiving standpoint. Like Marquise Brown is absolutely nowhere. James Conner just doesn't catch passes like that anymore. And I think this McBride, like Kyler Murray, that's his favorite target.
Yeah, he wants the ball. Like when you like the eye test for Trey McBride, the guy gets an A plus because it's like he attacks the ball. It's the guy who just he wants to play that position. He is a wide receiver. He's a dog, as they say, you like in the parlance of the actual player. He really is the mold for a tight end who wants to be a catching, possessive tight end. That guy, we're gonna talk about him a lot.
Yeah, he got that dog in him. He got that dog in him, as they say. One of the guys, so he's not as no, I'm not gonna talk about him. It's just I was like, he's a little boring to talk about, but I'm gonna talk about him. No, I'll give him his shine. I called him out earlier. I'm gonna talk about Devin Singletary. He dominated that game. Like dominated that game, dominated the snaps. Like he really put that team on his back to win. He had over 20 fantasy points in PPR and didn't score a touchdown. Like he really like dominated the snaps. And to the point where like Dameon Pierce, I think he had 6% of the snap share and he didn't get a
snap.
Like snap after the second half. Like this was like, bro, Devin Singletary, let's go. Come on, let's go. Put me on the back. Let's go. And he did it. Like he did it. He carried that team. He's like, I don't have my quarterback, whatever. I'm gonna go. He crushed it. I want to pull up his stat line because it was impressive. Yeah, 26 carries for 121. That's just not something that Devin Singletary's done for real in the NFL like that. 4 or 5 targets for 49 yards, and obviously he had a big catch for 41 yards. Like again, running back 7 on the week with no touchdown. Very impressive. I'm not gonna say he's a must start. I actually was saying before the game, this was one of those running back situations you really want to gravitate to, just because for Tennessee in particular, traditionally they've been good against the run. They waived their nose tackle, Taylor Tart, who was like amazing against the run. I just think they were actually just having like contract issues, it seemed, in Tennessee. And then like Jeffrey Simmons, he was injured, so he wasn't there. So that's your 2 run stuffing guys in the middle are just not there. That was going to be a big deal, and they leaned on the run like I thought. Like it really worked out.
Yeah, what an ironic game. That a game where everyone was saying he's been devastating to the Texans on the ground, had probably historically one of the worst performances from a running back in NFL history, and Singletary to do this. You could tell that they actually had an agenda the way that game took place. They have been hearing the whole Henry's done this to that and the third in the past few seasons, and they really took offense to it.
Yeah, shout out to Matty Kawum. I was on the show The Game Plan on Saturday, and that was his prediction. His prediction was like, DeMeco Ryans is going to get his guys ready to go to stop Derrick Henry because they've been calling him daddy for the last 5 games. And they said, bro, we're done. This is done. Like, we're not doing this no more. We have to stop him. Like Derrick Henry, I'm not joking. Like he was putting up quarterback numbers against the Houston Texans. And they heard that than anyone else. Like they had to stop. And so he did it. Like, I mean, they like in the press conference after the game, they were making this man question, like, do I even want to do this anymore?
Whoa.
Like, you know what I mean? Like in the presser afterwards, I don't know what my future's like going to be with this team. Like it shook him because they put the clamps on this man. Like it was tough. And honestly, I mean, I was going to ask you, like, do you think like his career is over? What do you think is going on with Derrick Henry?
I don't think his career is over, but I think it's that point where a change of scenery would really do you some good. We all get to that point, you know, and I believe he's probably at that point. He was the focal point of this team, and they didn't make it during that push. And from that position, unless you're like not human, you can't really be the focal point at running back for multiple years going in. So maybe being positioned on a team where he can complement another great star and not just be the focus, and they can get hit more run lanes given for his great ability later into his career here, he'll have another shot at really being that guy. But as far as being the flagship of the team and the expected focus point of the offense where the defense can make him the primary focus for that week, his body probably can't take it anymore. And just 16 games of being Derrick Henry, the big man, 200 yards, pow, everybody throwing their weight into you to go ahead and any human being, any human being, will break down over time. So I'm just thinking realistically that just is where we are. Pause on the entire conversation. That's what it was.
Like, until you say it, no one's thinking that. But then when you say it, it's like, man, that's the most sounding thing ever.
It was your laugh. It triggered me. I said, "Oh man, let me cover my
I
tracks."
wasn't even. I was laughing at the actual content of what you were saying, and then you said pause, and then now I'm thinking about pounding heavily into this man. Like, well, no one's talking. Why would like,
Oh,
you said pound? Just like that. Who's pounding heavily?
but I had to convey, how much it's a violent sport, and just,
It's
you don't.
violent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, I'm trying to think, just jumping off of that. I'm trying to think real quick. Like, I don't want to take up too much conversation with this, but like, where could he be a fit? Like, I think like I'm trying to think of
Baltimore.
that makes a lot of sense, bro. Actually, he would have been a nice fit this year.
Mm-hmm.
That would make a lot of sense because I think like he's the type of runner who needs momentum to get going. If he doesn't get any momentum, he just looks slow as hell behind that line and he'll get caught. If he gets ahead of steam, that's where he is lethal dangerous. So you have to go to an elite O line off rip. And again, I mean, they're playing right now, but just play something in Philly. Like, imagine that. That would be kind of
Oh,
ridiculous. With that offensive line, which they're gonna like Kelsey, I don't think he's gonna stay. Wouldn't be surprised if they won the Super Bowl, I think that they may be losing like Kelsey, Lane Johnson immediately.
oh yeah.
But they'll still be solid.
Storybook ending.
Solid offensive line. If you could just move some bodies and like have him like get a little momentum, that makes sense to me. Dallas, they could have honestly used
Oh
him.
wow.
You know what I mean?
That
Like,
offensive line, yeah.
yeah, they don't. The thing is, though, they're like a power run team. He actually seems like he does really good in like zone read situations, but
Mhm.
you figure out a way to make that work. Tony Pollard and Derrick Henry actually sounds like a really good compliment.
Oh
Like those
yeah.
are some of the ones to me that like I'm just looking for like a slash and dash or like a slash and hammer type situation. Those two would actually be
Mhm.
kind of nice. And Kansas City, that I don't know. I don't think they just run block well. But I don't know.
Yeah, they're passing focus, and I don't think, yeah, that doesn't seem like it will complement his skill set and preferences that much.
Yeah. But those two, those NFC East teams, that would be interesting. That would be really interesting if they did that.
Oh yeah,
All right, man.
Eagles.
They need them now because it looks like I don't want to spoil it for anyone watching the game or DVRing it, but Eagles are not going to be happy.
I just switched to it, and I'm actually very surprised at what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah.
Live reaction here. Damn.
Yeah, sends that dude. Loves to say that. Okay. See, I'm losing track of this show now. All right, so we gotta like. So there's a couple guys we just gotta talk about. James Cook. James Cook, bro. What's going on there? Like this man went nuts. Let me pull up his stats because that was one of those players. So we make our show notes, guys, during the games, and we have like a running tracker of like the stats and stuff. And obviously, like if a player's playing, you can't really update it too much, but you generally know what you want to talk about. I kept having to update his stats the entire game. He just kept eating. He went so. This is amazing. 25 carries for 179 on the Dallas. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys, they sometimes are hit or miss defensively. They missed.
Oh
They
yeah.
were missing in this game. They were MIA. 7.2 yards per carry, like long of 24. But I mean, honestly, he was just kind of churning it out. A touchdown there. He only had 2 receptions, but for 42 yards, like he was eating you up for another touchdown. This is the definition to me of a league winner, of somebody
Yes.
who's going to just come in and start whooping ass. Like over the last few weeks, he's only had one game where he was outside the top 10, actually outside the top 7 running backs, and that's my bad. That's standard because I know in PPR he's higher. So in the
Oh yeah.
last, he was the running back 2 this week, the running back 3 last week, 12, 10. Like over the last few weeks, he's been eating up. I think it's his 5th straight game with over 100 total yards. Like league winner facing the Chargers next week. So you can go ahead and count that W if you have him. Like he is easily a top 10 back in fantasy. Like there's no way he's going to be outside of like my top 8 probably.
I would have to say most people who are James Cook manager are thinking to themselves, this was there all season. People were wondering, like people talking about Latavius Murray. I think they went and even picked up what's my man name that was on the Buccaneers? Yeah, thinking that he was gonna take his position, and you're like, just let James do his thing. Everybody was always saying, just let James cook. Let him do his thing. Just let the man do what he has to do.
I was gonna say, is he gonna do that? Is he
Oh yeah, I had to do it. It was a layup. Give me that. I got it. It's an alley oop, if you will. Come on.
It's true. Like honestly, Eric, like I'm telling you, bro. Like this was one of those players. I highlighted certain players before the season that I thought that could really do it if the coaches give them the shot. Like Rashad White was one. Tony Pollard was one, so they count that as a miss. But like James Cook was another. And I honestly was like, James Cook could have been like this year's version of last year's Tony Pollard. He has that similar skill set, that explosiveness. He is amazing. Like truly, coming out of college, he was more viewed as a satellite back only who could just catch the ball. Really not doing that much between the tackles, but you see the explosion, really good contact balance, and he just gets a lot of yards before he gets hit too. Like he's a great, just down for down running back. Give him the damn ball. And I honestly do think like some of the other misses, like we didn't talk about Stephon Diggs, we didn't talk about Dalton Kincaid. He is consuming that offense so much so that he is kind of like suffocating the other players out of it. And this was the reason, like Josh Allen was solid. He had 18 PPR or 18 points. That's why I honestly wasn't sure how good he was going to be this year, just because I was assuming they were going to lean on the running game. And if this is what the rest of the season looks like, I don't like Josh Allen. You still start him if you got him.
Absolutely.
I'm not expecting like quarterback 1 weeks every single week if they're going to be so heavy run, because that to me is like that is your best chance to win when you have such a dynamic running back.
Exactly. Given that he has turned this team around and being the primary focus point in that offense, now that they've changed out those offensive coordinators, you should anticipate that this should continue. Maybe a game where the defense overcorrects, like we always say, but then they still have Stephon Diggs. They still have the other players who had a very poor game as a result of James Cook going off. Gabe Davis, he put up nothing. Gabe Davis, of course, is a boomer bust player, but they're leaning on James Cook. Gabe Davis is a player you should just not play going forward if the focus point is on James Cook. And they have Khalil Shakir out there who was getting looks like that. So if the team is starting to get less pass focus, less putting the onus on Allen to do something crazy all the time, and they realize that they should just put it in James Cook to give them a tempo that he can maintain with that team along with that defense as they start to turn it around, this is for sure a league winner. We talked about this last week when we said back then this was 4 weeks in a row he had been over 100 yards. He overperformed and honestly could have had an even better game where there was an open pass play where it just missed him. So James Cook has the ability to get open as well. You're starting to see that this guy, he got some Marshall Faulk potentially to him in that last game. He was going that off, and that means he's a utility player, like you said, in between the tackles, satellite player. That's who comes to mind who put up these kinds of stats. That is a league freaking winner. If you don't know who that is, do your research. That man's a monster.
Yeah. Like in this, I think we should we're gonna talk about some other stuff, but I'm gonna just spoil it. If you didn't watch the game, you should watch the game. So Eagles just lost. Eagles just lost in the last second touchdown pass to JSN. JSN went 4 for 48 and a touchdown. Kenneth Walker actually had a really good day, 19 for 86 and another touchdown on the ground. And he actually was one of their leading receivers for most of the game, 3 for 26. He came back in a major way, so hopefully he's going to be like a player moving forward. But I wouldn't be surprised if the snap share was like really annoying. Jalen Hurts, good game in fantasy, real bad game as a quarterback. Threw 2 interceptions, threw a back-breaking interception to end the game, 143 in the air, but he also rushed himself for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns with like the pushes and stuff. So this was one of those games where at the very least in fantasy, Jalen Hurts did what he needed to do. But man, like in real life, like it's kind of concerning that they lost their 3rd straight game.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The Eagles, you would be this is panic button for sure. Like the metaphorical, we need to be concerned. You should be concerned. Yeah.
Yep. Like this is, you had to win this game. Like, and this was kind of, you had Dallas lose, and especially in the fashion that they lost. You obviously, San Francisco's really leaving you guys in the dust now. You just had to maintain this whole water, and it's really tough. All right, so sorry, I have not been paying attention to the chat. So it's Chuka baby. So he had a couple one. Die Eagles die. I won't put that one up. Go boys. So he's a Cowboys fan. But then Is Josh Downs a drop? Yeah, I think he's a drop. There's some. I mean, you consider it if Michael Pittman doesn't play. They're playing Atlanta. It's not a bad matchup for like a slot wide receiver. And I don't hate him in the matchup. He should do okay, but he's been incredibly unreliable. And as a Colts fan, I mean, they were involving so many other players. Like this guy Montgomery was getting a lot of run. The tight ends, they play their tight ends so much that it's really hard to trust in literally anyone in the passing game outside of Michael Pittman. I'm just really hoping that Michael Pittman plays because regardless of AJ Terrell, like we were saying before, Michael Pittman was dominating that game before he got injured, and he got injured really early. So I just hope that he plays. He's the only reliable Colts receiving option, I think, for real. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm biased because I'm a Michael Pittman manager, but in watching the game, like you said, even I saw that when Pittman wasn't there, how much they target in the end zone, like Mo Alley Cox and all the other tight ends. They really spread the ball around to those guys, and you can tell that they are a read that they prefer to get the ball to. So Josh Downs isn't really, I would say, person that I would invest in at this point in the season going forward.
I feel you. I'm trying to think, any other big – all right, so let's do this. So are there any league-winning players that you see that, like, were maybe on the hits list that you may still be able to pick up? Like, ideally, somebody who's owned in less than 50% of the leagues. Newsflash, guys, I did not research this first, so we're going to be guessing. But basically, like, who do you think is somebody who may be able to get picked up that may be a league winner?
Oof. Aye. That is a tough one.
Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I just sprung this question on him with no let's see. So to me, Ty Chandler, you likely cannot pick him up still, but it was really nice to see how involved he was in the running game. Like they just leaned on him heavily. The backup running back, I should know his name. I'm Nigerian. I don't know how to say his name. It's Nwangu or something. He barely touched the ball. I think he got like 1 or 2 carries. Like Ty Chandler could easily be a league winner. I don't think his schedule's super easy, but the fact that they leaned on him, the fact that he's so explosive, I do think is good for this good offense who needs to obviously keep like winning momentum going after that loss. And that's one of the guys. The other guy I'm always going to talk about if I get a chance, man. Jaden Reed, bro. Like, God.
Oh, yeah.
Jaden Reed really. Yeah. Lakers stand up. I'm from Lakers. I was born in Lakers. I'm sorry, you guys can't see that. Yeah, Lakers. That's what's up.
Knowing you, I know what someone said.
Every chance I get to rep it, I will rep it all day.
He does. Absolutely.
I literally now forgot who I was talking about because I was so Nigeria love. Who are we talking about?
You talking about Reed on the Packers, young man.
Okay. He got dinged up, so I want to check on his injury, but man, like he really is just a consistent part of that offense. He scores so like often, and you never want to rely on the touchdowns, but he's just involved. He's an involved member of that offense. Yes. If Christian Watson continues to miss time, especially, I think it's a no question must start regardless of the matchup because they're giving him carries, they're giving him like targets in the passing game. And our guy from the University of Virginia, I don't know his first name, Wicks. He did very well too, and it did look like they're actually scheming stuff up for him too, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, I would actually support those 2 picks. It's not a player that I could actually think of that one would go ahead and pick up. It's actually a defense that you had mentioned earlier that I'm going to look into picking up, and that was the Bears. The Bears have been a surprisingly decent defense, and if you're really struggling on how you're going to go ahead and approach these last few weeks of the playoffs, you should put up the remaining fab to go ahead and grab them or any other defense that's going to have a very favorable matchup going forward against any of these quarterbacks that are very young and inexperienced.
I want to see who are they playing next. Let's put Fields in here. The Bears. Because, like, so they, over the last few weeks, I like Flacco, and I'm glad he still did well at the end. I was telling people to not play him because the Bears, prior to yesterday, and they continued it because they were basically averaging 3 interceptions a game over the last, 3 weeks. And they got another 3 yesterday.
Sure
telling people, it's like, Joe Flacco's definitely going to throw a pick because he's throwing one in every game he started, and he's throwing the ball so much. I was like, he may even throw 2. He may throw more, and he threw 3. Like, I think that was, like, a very clear indication of what was going to happen. And depending on who they play, if my computer doesn't
The Bears have Atlanta week 17.
Yes, sir. There we go. All right, let's do that. Hey, now, what we talking about? So, like, the Bears, so they play Arizona. Wait, so no. They play so week 16 though they play Arizona.
Yeah.
And
Week
then
17.
they play the Atlanta. Yeah, that's a league winning defense right there.
Mm-hmm.
Winning defense right there. Because their offense can keep up with anyone. Their defense has just been incredible. Their defense has been so turnover heavy. And again, I'm always going to talk about the Colts stuff. Like they got Matt Eberflus. The focus of his defensive philosophy, turnovers almost first before anything. And you're starting to see that come now. You're starting to see that defensive backfield just get their hands on the ball, and they are causing turnovers. Like their linebackers are making plays happen. Sweat is really coming to his own. Even though they lost like Ngakoue, like they got Montez Sweat, and he's really starting to turn it up. Like, yeah, what were you thinking about Montez?
Exactly. He is the reason that I've made that change. I listened to what the announcers are saying. They said the one thing that we mentioned a couple shows back is we said that the destruction of the Commanders, I said, they got rid of one of their best guys on the front. They gave him to the Bears. He has made such a difference. In that week that the Bears acquired him, they signed him for, I think, triple digit in the millions on that contract because he's making a difference. You're literally seeing him put it on the field, and we're seeing it in the numbers on that defense. This is a change you make. This is how you stay on top of things and make an adjustment. That is a defense that you want going into the playoffs for sure.
I love the Bears defense right now, and that's crazy to say. It's not crazy to say historically. Over the last few years, that's a crazy thing to say, but they've been killing it, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm going to go through. This is kind of one of our last segments before we always do our top 5 rankings. It's nothing to do with fantasy. It's just football related. But before we get to that, I'm going to ask, we're going to just go through a list of some of the hits and misses and just see if we're buying it or not. So basically, if you're buying it, that means like you believe that this performance could continue. So if it's good or bad, you could see it happening moving forward. And so I'm going to just kind of ask you, we'll talk about some of these. So buy or sell. I'm not going to ask you about CMC. Buy or sell Jared Goff's 41-point performance.
Buying. He has nothing but domes to go ahead and play in for the rest of the season. That's the thing known about him. He plays very well in that environment. And this team has the psychological impetus to continue on this push. I think he'd be over 500 for their head coach in his career if they win these next 2 games. So the team is motivated.
The team's motivated, especially now, like with this loss for the Eagles. I'm assuming the Lions may have the same record or better record now. They're not going to catch the Niners, but if they keep winning out, they can only help themselves in getting the 2 seed. And getting a weaker opponent, and hopefully they won't have to play like the Philly Dallas opponent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which you don't want to do. All right, so I'm buying that one too. Obviously not to that level of performance, but I was thinking, even though Denver's defense had been good prior to this, like you said, Jared Goff at home is just a different level player, and everyone was downing him, saying he was ranked in like their QB 18. I was like, at least he should be in the top 10 to 12 easily, and he clearly was the one. So I'm definitely buying that too. Let's see. I'm buying all the Lions. I think that's kind of safe. Yeah. And the one thing I would say is David Montgomery, a little concerning. He actually got finally more snaps than Gibbs this time, but Gibbs significantly outshined him. And I do worry about his level of consistent production, more so in PPR if he's not going to score.
Yes. Yeah. They seem to be something that going into next season are going to cause a lot of confusion how to approach.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they just give Gibbs he's honestly prior to this week was getting nearly double David Montgomery snap share, so maybe they just continue that and just give Gibbs more work and more opportunities. Hopefully, that's what happens. But this next guy, and I got to shout out. I don't know the guy's name, but he made a video for PlayerProfiler. He was on one of the podcasts where he said that Rachaad White was the best back in the 2022 draft class, and he was better than Bijan, he was better than Gibbs, he was better than Breece Hall, he was better than all these guys, right?
That's a call.
It's a strong call. He made it in August. Now, I don't know if I could say he's better than Bijan. I can't say that actually. But he's performing better than Bijan. He even said the class before, like Najee, Etienne, he said he was better than all those guys, and he's been like spot on. Like Rachaad White has been the RB4 in PPR. And that is another guy like a James Cook. If you went 0 RB, you were getting rewarded for that.
Oh, yeah.
DeAndre Swift.
Major.
Honors. Obviously, Raheem Mostert, we haven't talked about, but like you're getting heavily rewarded for that 0 RB strategy. And I do think that he has like been the linchpin of consistency over the last few weeks. Not being like the RB1, honestly, on any week, but really being like a top 5 running back on a week-by-week basis. That's all you can ask for.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I have to buy that because the team, like who else is up there in that position? I don't even know who his backup is. That team is definitely riding that man right there. He is. I wish I'd have picked him, but I have James Cook, so it's cool. He is James Cook light. What I say this time?
Riding that man for sure. So whatever. Whatever, bro. Whatever you want to say. How this your show? So next, let's see who we're buying.
Oh man.
So let's talk about this. We didn't talk about this too much. Are you buying anything from that Raiders game, and particularly on the Raiders side?
I gotta say, nah, not for real. Yeah, not really.
Aiden O'Connell being like this Joe Montana quarterback. I'm not buying that at all. Especially I think that they play Kansas City this week. No, can't do it. Can't do that. Do they play Kansas City? Pretty sure they do because the Chargers play. I can't find out who's. We should have these pulled up clearly, and I don't. I think they're playing. Yeah, they're playing Kansas City. Las Vegas is playing at Kansas City. Nope. No, thank you. I don't need. I mean, Snead on Devontae Adams. It's one of those things that's unfortunate. Like, man, you got this outlier performance. Likely, you didn't benefit that much from it outside of Zamir White. Is it Zamir? I think it's Zamir White. White, Devontae Adams. And if you were one of those people who played the Raiders defense, congrats, because that really boosted you up.
I don't buy it.
Go ahead.
Like, how many weeks were they trying to get Devontae Adams going? You know what I'm saying? So it just so happened that something you've been trying to do for multiple weeks finally hit, and now all of a sudden we're supposed to accept that this is the time frame in which you did it. The Chargers are clearly a team that's snake bitten right now, so they're not here right now. So I mean, you wouldn't want to overinvest on that and just be burned and look silly going forward. That's kind of what I would be afraid of with the Raiders.
I agree. This clearly was more of an indictment on the Chargers than it was like the Raiders fixing their offensive problems. It's kind of wild that Antonio Pierce ran up the score like that, honestly. He had no respect for that man. He just did him very dirty.
That's funny.
But I don't know, unless maybe he was on their staff at some point and got fired. That's the type of that's what you do when you have some a bone to pick. Like he tried to holler at your moms or something.
I have to agree that there's something to that. There's something to that.
But yeah, I'm not buying that either because even Devontae Adams, honestly, his touchdown came from Jacoby Myers. That says all you need to know.
Yes.
Trey Tucker caught 2 touchdowns. Jacoby Myers caught a touchdown. He threw a touchdown. A lot of I think a lot of those players scored touchdowns before Devontae Adams even got his.
Yeah.
So I think Devontae Adams is solid. He's still getting his targets, and I still think unfortunately outside of last week, he's going to live in that 12 to 14 point PPR range, which is solid. It's just not going to win you a week.
And it's what you paid for that player. So that's not really what you expect. That's what makes it hurt so bad. If you could say you got Devontae Adams in round 3, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. There's no Devontae Adams managers that are saying that. So
not at all. This one we haven't talked about him and Njoku. So you're buying his 27 PPR point performance.
Yes, I would have to say that just because of the consistency. Joey Flack, you know what I'm saying? He is getting the ball out there and dotting it to everyone. The way he is playing, you can tell that he is someone that has a level of talent of someone who used to be an MVP or something, because he made a pass between 3 defensive players where I have to really respect that placement and accuracy. Joey, him getting the ball to Njoku has this talent. We've seen him do this before. I would have to go ahead and buy this consistency level. I think Flack in the past few games he's played, he's already equaled what man, I can't even remember, man, as the starter did. Yeah, what Deshaun Watson did before he got hurt. You can see I'm easy like that. You ain't out of sight, out of mind kind of man right here. You know what I'm saying? So he's been playing that well.
That's the thing. He threw 3 picks, but still was the QB8 on the week so far. I don't know how it's going to calculate with these dudes playing, but the thing is, you're looking at his throws 44 times, 45 times, 44 times. And he's thrown an interception every game. He has 5 interceptions in 3 games.
Yep.
But he's thrown the ball so much. I got to buy it too. And I'm not buying 27 points. That's crazy. But the fact that Njoku is getting some of the targets, honestly, he's not getting as many targets as you'd like to see with that type of volume. So I'm not buying like this crazy upside, but I'm definitely buying him as a must-start player. I'm trying to pull up.
Yeah, and Njoku is a talented tight end. So somebody who's getting the opportunity, he gets out there, he can do it. Njoku's fast, big, strong dude. He just wasn't someone that you would think was tailored to get peppered with targets. But given the opportunity from somebody like Joey Flack, he's getting it done.
I like the Joey Flack. So he got 14 targets yesterday, man.
Yeah.
Like 10, 14 for 104. The week before, 6 of 8. That's where I was a little disappointed in the 8 targets if you're going to throw for 45 times. But like, if you're getting 14 targets on 44, 44 throws, like I can't complain about that. Like, and then honestly, even the 8 targets for a tight end, I can't complain about that at all. He's got the talent too. That, like you said, like if you get him the ball, he can make a lot of things happen after the catch. Like I really do think that, like Njoku's an easy must start moving forward. Just because, like in fantasy, guys, it's all about the opportunity. You're getting a quarterback who does not give an F and will throw it, like you said, into triple coverage and give his guys a shot and just let them make some plays. And you have some, honestly, like Amari Cooper showed up yesterday on that big play.
Yes, he did.
And Njoku has been balling out. And honestly, like Elijah Moore just hasn't been as reliable as those two. Like they are the main cogs of this offense now, as Joe Flacco's going to be chucking it that often. They're going to be playing Houston, who may have C.J. Stroud back in Houston. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get another 40-attempt game from Flacco. And especially Houston Texans against tight ends are horrendous. So, like, this is another game where Njoku may make his way easily into top 5, maybe into the top 3. Like, they play the Jets after that, which isn't great. But I think, again, it's less about the matchup for him and more about the opportunities.
For sure. For sure.
We are running long as hell, but we're going to keep going, bro, because there's more people hopping in here. Appreciate y'all hopping in.
It's all good. I might have to bounce and get my charger for 2 seconds.
Okay. Do you need to bounce and go get it? I could talk real quick.
Yes. Fill the air for 2 seconds.
All right. So let's talk. I'm going to talk real quick, guys, about if I'm going to buy or sell. We talked about Brees, talked about Garrett Wilson, Saquon Barkley. I am buying that he is going to be inconsistent, but I'm not going to buy that he's going to only give us like 5.7 PPR points. I think it was just kind of like a bad day. I'm going to pull up who he plays next. But I just think, like, it's unfortunate. This matchup with New Orleans was this matchup with New Orleans, I don't know why you're wearing all red. This matchup with New Orleans was, like, really an easy one. And it is so unfortunate that he did not take advantage of that. But I do think that he's going to be better moving forward just because of the volume that he's getting. I can't walk away from it. But I don't think that you should just lock him in as a guaranteed must start no matter what. I think that he has earned like a low-end RB1 level respect. And if he's facing Philly, who has been giving up some more work on the ground, like we just said, Kenneth Walker just kind of went off against them. I'm going to still start him against Philly because honestly, that's all they got. So I was just talking about Saquon, Eric. I'm buying that he's going to be incredibly inconsistent, but I'm going to sell the fact that he's going to be garbage the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I have Saquon myself. Like, who else are they going to give the ball to? Like, I would have to go with Saquon. I'm going to play Saquon because there was a game. I think every game he's done well, you would just have to say he's overperformed because the Giants are garbage. So you kind of knew this, but like you said, who else are you going to go with? So,
all right, let's get into some of these misses real quick before we head out here. So we already talked about King Henry. I don't care about talking about Javonte Williams. I'm buying that he's also not great, especially with his schedule is kind of disappointing. I don't really care, again, to talk about Taysom Hill, but really quick, I'm buying Taysom Hill's incredible level of inconsistency. The thing that concerned me was the fact that he only had like 1 carry, which is like, that's the thing. Like, I can't play you if you're going to get 1 carry, but I don't expect him to only get 1 carry moving forward unless he was hurt and I missed it. So that's why I'm not really panicking on him. I'm going to sell the fact that he's going to be terrible week in and week out. I'm buying that he's inconsistent.
I would never tell anyone to invest in Taysom Hill. He's like, he's the definition of a Hail Mary player. If there's just somebody, I need somebody who could potentially give me 30 or could give me an absolute goose egg. Has to be the hallmark player for that.
Because that's the thing, like, outside of last week, Eric, though, he's been good. It's just like, well, I don't know, maybe this injury really messed him up because he didn't play last week and he was the tight end 54 in standard leagues. Prior to that, he was a tight end 5, 10, 21, 4, 1, 5, 12, like the last few weeks
That
in a
is pretty
row in standard. But it's just about like he has to get carries. He got one, I mean, he one carry for 4 yards, like one target, or no, sorry, one carry for 1 yard, one target for one reception and 4 yards. Like you can't do anything with that. And so I feel like I need to dig into why that happened because I buy him as a player just because I've had him on a lot of teams, like just because he was so free and cheap and he's just been
good.
performing.
Yeah.
But he's not going to catch you passes. So if he's not getting carries, he really is like a not. You can't even play him.
Yeah, he seemed risky to me, but I'm looking at it too. He has been putting up some points for you, but it's like, what game script do you know that you can anticipate where he would perform? That's where he just,
That's the problem. It
yeah.
was this one. This was that. You're playing the Giants at home against a team who cannot defend the run. Because you honestly, like, whenever I'm doing research on Taysom Hill, I'm looking at everyone else like a tight end clearly. When I get to Taysom Hill, it's like, what's the running back matchup? Because that's really what.
uh,
How many of red zone carries do they get? Like, this was a great matchup. That's why I really like Kamara and Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill did
okay.
nothing. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some injury that I don't know about. I'm not going to pretend like I dug into that game, guys.
All right, respect.
Let's do 2 more real quick, and then we can get into like our top 5. All right, so talk about Taysom Hill. Zay Flowers, 1.4 PPR points. What do you think?
Zay Flowers is very impressive. I wouldn't really read too much into this. I think given the injuries, they just lost Keaton Mitchell for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Zay Flowers has been a revelation. You didn't anticipate him to play as well as he has so far in his rookie season. I just don't think that this is reflective of what thing you should expect from him going forward. I just think this is an outlier, personally.
I hope it's an outlier, but this is the type of thing that worries me because prior to this, they had started really like trusting in him and also just throwing the ball more. This is honestly almost like the opposite of like the Njoku Flacco situation. I thought based on the Todd Monken scheme that they were going to start throwing the ball more, and over the
Mhm.
last few weeks, you started seeing like them letting Lamar open it up, right?
Odell Beckham showing up and
Yeah.
everything. Absolutely.
Like he was a dud completely yesterday too. Like, and I thought, and likely was the only one who really did well there. Like, I thought, like, all right, we're starting to see this is the Todd Monken system that we all had estimated, where he said, like, Lamar said he's going to pass for 6,000 yards. This is that offense we're now starting to see.
Mhm.
Yesterday didn't happen, and I get it. It's the game conditions have to be considered because there were like really high significant gusts of wind. Like the weather was not good. It was just one of those like the over under was really low already, so people already knew it was going to be like a low scoring game. But I was expecting more from him because like the way that the Chiefs are using Rashee Rice, even if they're not throwing him the ball downfield, we're giving you like a ton of opportunities near the line of scrimmage to like catch the ball and make some yards after catch happen.
Mhm.
They're just not doing that. They're not allowing him to be a focus of the offense as much as I thought. And I mean, like, it's great for Lamar because they're still, whether Lamar's passing or he's running, he was a leading rusher again yesterday. The offensive focus is on him. But I just thought that even like so Keaton Mitchell's out.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson is your quarterback. So you can run him, but you don't want to get him killed, a person who's literally not finished the last 2 years because of injuries. You want to get the ball out of his hands.
True.
Another person you could use, even if I like Odell Beckham having a bad day, I could buy that. I could see that happen anytime. Zay Flowers should never have a game where he doesn't have less than 4 receptions, just because he should have guaranteed 4 receptions that are like screen passes and letting him figure something out. So
I
he should
agree.
always be getting you close to like 9 PPR points at a baseline. And they're just not using him that way. So I feel like I'm buying, again, not that he's going to be this terrible every week, but I'm buying his inconsistency for sure.
You know, my like dark horse kind of thought with that game. I really think that they are trying to hide how they might utilize them in this massive game they have coming up this week, because they're playing against the 49ers. And we haven't gotten to it just yet, but talking about our top teams, these are the two that I've consistently had as my top two.
Yeah.
I always try to think maybe that they try to get so cute. They want to psych the team that they're really trying to practice and prepare for into not really preparing for who they want to emphasize in that game against them. So I'm going to be watching this 49ers versus Baltimore Ravens game as clearly the number one game of this freaking season for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like a hawk because I'm thinking Zay Flowers is going to show up for that game. Odell Beckham shows up for that game. Getting the ball to him in these short situations is where they need to go ahead and do that in that game to really show that they want to hit the number one best team in the NFL in the mouth. That's what I was thinking while watching this game because I agree with what you're saying. I'm like, how did they underperform, but just still win that game, but not do it in the stature that you would have anticipated? So it's like trying to overthink it. I'm already saying that, but just looking at the magnitude of the game coming up, that's just me just probably being biased towards Baltimore, but just trying to go ahead and think about how that might have materialized.
Yeah, they may like not trying to show their hand. It's very, I mean, it's very possible, I guess. I don't think like that. Just I feel like that's at the end of the day, it's nice to think like that hypothetically. But if you're like, say, you're a coach in a game, like I just need to win this game. Fuck it, I'm gonna just throw everything at at this team right now. I'm not gonna hold back. Like we got to win this game, so let's go win it. And Jacksonville, they definitely didn't help themselves with all those mistakes they were making. So I hear you on that. And then the last one before we get out of here, I mean, I'm completely buying that this player just kind of sucks, and I'm not expecting anything from them moving forward for real. For real, Najee Harris can't do it.
Yeah. I mean,
can't do it. Can't do it.
Like the track record's there. A lot of people have been for multiple weeks saying he's gonna turn it around, turn it around, turn it around. It's just not there. I mean, you got to accept what his reality. The reality is, it's not there.
It's not there
this season.
He's not that great. That team is bad.
Yes.
I mean, he definitely obviously like Mr. Trubisky got a rushing touchdown, but he looked like he fumbled it, and like Najee actually picked it up, ran to the end zone. So you almost thought you had like a almost touchdown right there. And they got the ball on that turnover. I think it was like a block punt right near the 1 yard line or so. Just couldn't get it in from goal line. They gave him the opportunity. He just couldn't do it. I just don't think the stock down on the Steelers team. Like I just don't I'm not trusting Mason Rudolph to produce an offense where I feel comfortable trusting Najee Harris. And he has not performed well enough to get the amount of respect that he's gotten. Like I just can't give it to him. Like he has not performed at that level.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, the reality is he has underperformed. So respective to how he's played, that's how you have to go ahead and judge him. I mean, I can't argue with that in any capacity.
Yep. All right, we were going, man. This show is supposed to be 45 minutes, guys. We've gone literally 30 minutes over that. So we're going to get out of here real quick, but we're going to go with our top 5. We've been talking because it's just been fun. It's fun, like, rapping with you guys. It's fun, like, when you guys put in comments. Make sure you guys tune in next week. Normally, again, next week, this is going to be 7:30 p.m. on Sunday. So right after, like, Red Zone's, like, clicking off, come join us, and we'll talk about what happened week 16 to make sure, like, you guys are moving forward in your playoffs. Prior to that, and I'm doing all the plugs like the show's ending. It's not ending right now. But prior to that, make sure you guys hop on TikTok and follow us both of these titles here. FF Strategist on TikTok, Eric P Football on TikTok. I'm putting out content every single day. Going to be putting out my waiver wire stuff, putting out stuff to help you guys win your league. So make sure you guys follow us there. But before we get out of here, we do this every single episode. We go through our top 5, and usually we do our top 5 prior to the Monday night games. So now we have the Monday night result. We see what happened with the Eagles. So what are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do with this top 5, Eric? Because things are changing. Like, things are moving in this top 5. I always ask him to go first because I need to think about mine. So go ahead.
It's all good. Well, number 1, I'm gonna go with I'm going with the 49ers. Okay. Obviously, they are the Zeus of the NFL right now. They're making scoring look easy. Mm-hmm. Number 2, I'm gonna keep up with what I've been saying thus far with the Ravens. And number 3,
this is the problem. I don't know what to do here.
Oh, if number 3?
Like, what do we do here now?
Number 3, I am going to actually go ahead and put the Dolphins.
That's a fair pick.
Yeah.
That's a fair pick. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put the Dolphins. I have to put some respect on this team's name next in the Lions. The Lions have been playing very well. 49ers, Ravens, Dolphins. Lions. Man, this last one is tough because I was really confident in the Cowboys, but after that, from the Bills, I have to say the Bills, man. I'm going to say the Bills because they've got so many weapons. It's Josh Allen. It's like, yeah, I'm going to say the Bills. I'm going to say the Bills, man, because James Cook, I think they recognize him as a very good weapon they can go to move the chains, but they haven't even been utilizing Stephon Diggs, Kincaid, Gabe Davis did nothing, Josh Allen, and not having to do too much. They have so many weapons, and I think this offensive coordinator, I'm going to go ahead and put a lot of emphasis in saying he may have figured out that he has a very unique team here, and they're going to be number 5 going forward, and they just figured it out. I'm going to try to get ahead of their momentum and say they're number 5.
I feel on that, and I've been like, that was one of those teams I've been high on them for the last few weeks, and I do agree. They definitely need to be in the top 5. So here's how mine are going to go. I don't know. Man, these Eagles and Chiefs or something, boy. Yeah. It's like I'm feeling I'm going to cop out, but let's just start. Let's go. Number 1, 49ers. Number 2, Ravens. Number 3, I agree with the Dolphins right now. I really want to put the Lions at 4. And I don't want to overreact to the Eagles. No, I can't do it. I'm going to put the Eagles still at 4. And I know they just lost. I think they're a better team than this. They are just in a really rough patch right now. Like, they're just so I'm going to put the Eagles at 4. And then I'm going to put the Lions at 5. But honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. 5 is pretty much tied with the Lions and the Bills right now. I can't move the Chiefs just yet because I think the Chiefs truly are going to make their way back into my top 5 next week. Their schedule's kind of easy moving forward. But it's almost like me just making a statement with my rankings. Like, they've played so badly, they don't deserve to be in the top 5. And they're just not clicking how we know they can click. And they've just not been impressive. And they literally have not won a game where the other team scored 20 points. They got to do that for me to, like, respect them. And so for me, they're outside of my top 5. So just because I did not write it down, I'm going to try to remember. It was 49ers, Ravens, Dolphins, Eagles, Lions, and Bills. That's my top 5 to 6. Before we get out of here, there's a couple questions I just want to answer before we get out. All right. Just saw the crazy end in my fantasy league right now because of that game. The guy with Hurts was up 3, 133 to 130, and the 130 guy had Devontae left. Hurts threw a pick, 131, and Smith didn't get the ball. That's tough. God, to end your season like that is wild, bro.
Fantasy really tests how you can control your anger management.
that's a broke TV type management. That's a broke TV.
Yes.
Man, don't. But also, like, I know, so this isn't your team, but don't be one of those people who like go to Jalen Hurts' Twitter and like is like cussing him out and all that crazy stuff like that. I mean, come on, like, they don't care about our fantasy leagues. But this does hurt though. This definitely hurts. He did not play a good game.
Oh no.
Good game in fantasy, bad game with that. But like, God, that sucks. The guy with Smith chucked his phone at the wall because he was AC trying to upset the first day. That's tough. Yo. That's the thing. Like, so we're just getting these comments in now. Like, this is the stuff we want to see. So, like, when you guys hop on the show next week, let us know all the stories of stuff that's happening in the league. Like, let us know all the bad beats, the good beats, like all that stuff. Like, let us know that in the comments. We're gonna read them out if you call it out. So my man here, he's adding a couple more. All right, so hey guys, do I bench Swift or Waddle for JT next week? Full PPR, please respond. Absolutely no way I'm benching Waddle.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No. And honestly, I don't even know even if he's in. Like, I can't bench Waddle.
The problem with Swift is Hurts. Hurts keeps taking all those goal line carries. You know what I'm saying? I think between Mostert, McCaffrey, the person who's third in rushing touchdowns is Hurts.
Yeah.
So
like, it's like you like in PPR especially, like absolutely not. Like, even if Tyreek Hill is there against the Ravens, I believe they're playing this week. No, they're playing the 49ers. Who the Ravens? The Miami's playing like a good team, I think.
No, Miami's was that Cowboys? I think we had talked about it earlier.
Yeah. Come on. I'm definitely playing them. Like, in that game, come on. I got to play them.
Oh, yes.
And then he had another one. So I have Josh Allen, Mixon, Swift, Waddle, Monroe St. Brown, Jay Jettis, and Njoku, and the Colts defense. You got a solid team there, bro. Like, I like that team a lot. I love Josh Allen versus the Chargers, I'll tell you that. Mixon, I don't know who they're playing, but I'm sure, like, his matchup actually wasn't easy this week. I'm assuming it's going to be better next week. I don't love Swift on a week to week, like just based on even what Eric was saying. Like I just don't love that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm glad people stopped freaking the hell out about that one. That was, to me, that was the most unnecessary freak out. Like he had 2 bad weeks. Like get over it. Amon-Ra St. Brown is that dude. He's gonna be okay. Jay Jett is only gonna get better with Mullins. And Njoku, we talked about him. He is a monster. The Colts, I should know this. I'm a Colts fan. We play a bad team, I believe. We play Atlanta. So I'm good on that defense, bro. Like you're straight in here, man. You are straight. Oh boy.
If Mullins is the quarterback of the Vikings, I'm a little concerned. Even though Addison played well, those are very poor passes that he actually was managing to turn into something.
Mm-hmm.
Mullins is you wouldn't expect that kind of performance again from Addison. And Jefferson, that's impactful. That needs to be considered.
I think it's impactful, like that Addison was making some plays that he probably shouldn't have made. And I think that Addison really needs to get way more respect than like honestly all of our rankings and stuff like that. But I do like the heavy target share of Jay Jettis. So I do think like he's not going to be the Jay Jettis at the beginning of the year, but he's a must start, no question, like top 10 easily.
Yeah.
But
Mullins, whew, man, I wish Kirk was still there.
I know, bro. I know. But yeah. All right, guys, that's a wrap. We went way longer than we should have, but it's fun on here, man. It's fun talking to y'all. Like, it's fun doing this. Like, make sure, again, this show is typically on Sundays, 7:30, right after Red Zone. You come to us before the Sunday Night Football game, and this is like your event session. This is where you can let out all the stuff that happened. This is going to let you know, like, hey, this is what I need to happen in the Sunday night game, the Monday night game. And we'll let you know if that's realistic or not. But yeah, this is a place just for you to come. And then honestly, even after the fantasy season, we're going to be having episodes too, where we're going to be just talking about like the games. We're going to be talking about props. We're going to just be talking about good and terrible performances from an NFL standpoint. So you're going to want to stay tuned. We really appreciate you guys staying for the long haul. Again, my name is Tumi. I go by Fantasy Football Strategist on TikTok, and we're putting out content all the time. So make sure you follow us there and follow me on YouTube too, Fantasy Football Strategist, but really on TikTok, that's where you really get most of the stuff. And again, Eric, you want to get your outro?
Yeah, man, I'm just the homie that be talking football. I don't really do too much on TikTok and everything, but stay with my man Tumi. I certainly follow all his advice, and I'm doing very well. Lucky I had a bye week, and you can go ahead and rock with me on TikTok at Eric P Football if you want to. I ain't even post nothing yet, but I will figure out how to do so.
With that being said, thank you guys so much. We're out of here. See y'all next week, 7:30 Sunday. Peace.
That's right.